It's September 22nd, 1994. A Thursday night, 6 unknown actors walk onto a coffee shop set in Burbank, California, and by the time that first episode ends, something has quietly shifted in American culture. What nobody knew then, not the writers, not the network, not even the cast, was that this show would still be pulling in over 100 million streams per month 30 years later. That strangers on the internet would still be debating Ross and Rachel, that a generation who wasn't even born when it premiered would fall completely in love with it on Netflix. Friends wasn't supposed to be a cultural institution, it was just supposed to be a show about 6 people figuring out their 20s. And somehow that was enough to last forever. But time moves whether we wanted to or not, so where are those 6 people now? Let's go back. The mid-90s were a very specific kind of moment in television history. Cable hadn't swallowed everything yet. Streaming was science fiction. If you wanted to watch something, you sat down at the same time as 30, 40, 50 million other people and you watched it together. And Friends was built for exactly that. The concept was deceptively simple: 6 friends in New York City, struggling with love, work, and the particular chaos of being young and figuring it out. But what made it extraordinary was the ensemble. The chemistry wasn't manufactured. This earned the 6 leads reportedly went out to dinner together before filming the pilot just to get comfortable with each other. And it showed in every scene. There was a warmth in that cast that the cameras couldn't help but pick up. The show had a famously shaky start behind the scenes. Jennifer Aniston had almost taken a role on another sitcom, SNL's In Living Color, before Friends came through. The character of Monica was originally envisioned as the show's romantic lead before the writers realized Rachel was the one audiences were gravitating toward. And Courteney Cox, she was actually offered the role of Rachel first. She asked to play Monica instead. These little accidents of casting changed everything. By the time the finale aired on May 6, 2004, 52.5 million Americans were watching. The cast had negotiated their way to $1 million an episode each. The show had survived 10 seasons, 236 episodes, countless relationship plot twists, and a cultural moment that made the Rachel the most requested haircut in history. It was by any measure a once-in-a-generation television event, and then it was over. 6 people had to figure out what came next. Jennifer Aniston was in many ways the face the world fell in love with first. Rachel Green started as a runaway bride with a credit card habit and became one of the most beloved characters in sitcom history, earning Aniston 5 Emmy nominations and a win. At peak Friends fame, she was one of the most photographed women on the planet. Her personal life played out in tabloids in ways that would exhaust most people: 2 marriages, countless rumors, relentless public scrutiny. And yet she kept working. Today, Aniston is doing some of the most mature, complex work of her career. Her role in the morning show on Apple TV Plus earned her another Emmy nomination, proof that there was always far more to her than Rachel's hair and charm. She looks by every account remarkable, but more than that, she seems settled in a way that younger Jennifer Aniston perhaps wasn't. The chaos of peak fame has given way to something quieter and arguably more interesting. Courteney Cox played Monica Geller with a precision that comedy rarely gets credit for. Monica was the type A, driven, deeply loving center of the group, and Cox made her feel real in a way that could have easily tipped into caricature. After Friends, she created and starred in Cougar Town, which ran for 6 seasons and gave her a creative producing role she clearly thrived in. She's also the only cast member to have appeared in every single Scream film, all 7 of them as the iconic Gale Weathers. Now 60, Cox has launched her own lifestyle brand, Home Court. She practices Pilates and yoga with the kind of commitment that clearly works. She and Jennifer Aniston have remained genuinely close, the kind of friendship that outlasts the show, the fame, and the decades. And she recently shared something that stopped a lot of people. She found a handwritten note from Matthew Perry tucked inside a cookie jar prop from the series finale that he had gifted her. Some things you can't prepare for. Matthew Perry. There is no way to talk about this cast without pausing here. Chandler Bing was the character who weaponized sarcasm as a defense mechanism, and in doing so made millions of people feel seen. Perry was devastatingly funny, the kind of comedian who could land a joke with a single raised eyebrow. Behind the scenes, his battle with addiction was something he was remarkably open about in his later years. His memoir, released in 2022, was raw and honest in a way that reframed how people understood the man behind the wisecracks. He passed away on October 28, 2023, at 54 years old. The outpouring of grief was immediate and global. The 2021 HBO Max reunion, which the cast had filmed not long before, suddenly became something far more precious the last time all 6 of them would ever be in the same room. His castmates have spoken about him with consistent tenderness. Lisa Kudrow, rewatching the show recently, said simply that he was so funny, one of the funniest people she ever knew. That's his legacy. That's what holds Matt LeBlanc turned Joey Tribbiani, a character who could have been a one-note joke, into one of the most genuinely lovable figures in television history. After Friends, he starred in the Joey spin-off, then reinvented himself on the BBC comedy episodes, where he played a satirical version of himself that was surprisingly sharp. Man with a Plan on CBS ran 4 seasons, but in recent years, LeBlanc has stepped back considerably. His daughter Marina, who was diagnosed with a serious neurological condition when she was young, has clearly been a priority that no career ambition would ever outrank. He's been quieter, more private. His publicist has made clear he'll return when something excites him. Until then, he seems content. That's not nothing. David Schwimmer brought a particular kind of lovable neurosis to Ross Geller, the paleontologist who felt everything too intensely and expressed it at the worst possible moments. Post-Friends, Schwimmer worked steadily with a notable turn in the People VOC, Jay Simpson earning him serious critical attention. More recently, he appeared in the Goosebumps series and spent time with the British comedy Intelligence. But increasingly, his energy has gone towards something less visible and more lasting: his work with Looking Glass Theater in Chicago, the company he co-founded decades ago. In 2026, reports describe him as doubling down on that institution. It's the kind of choice that says something about a person's values. And then there is Lisa Kudrow. Phoebe Buffet, the masseuse with the guitar, the conspiracy theories, the absolutely unshakable optimism was the character everyone underestimated, including, she's admitted, some people at her own talent agency, who apparently referred to her as just the sixth friend. She won an Emmy first. She's had the longest creative afterlife of the group, from the comeback to web therapy, building a reputation as a quietly brilliant character actress. In 2026, she's starring in a new Max horror comedy called The Parenting, and she's been re-watching Friends for the first time, staying up after her husband goes to sleep because she's too embarrassed to watch herself in front of him. She laughs about it. She says she's been laughing out loud at the show. There is something wonderful about that. What does it mean to have been part of something that enormous? To have your face and your voice and your laugh become part of the permanent fabric of how a generation remembers their living rooms, their college dorms, their 20s. The Friends cast didn't just make a television show, they made a place people could return to. 30 years later, strangers still watch it when they're sick, when they're lonely, when they need something that feels like home. Hollywood eats people, fame asks too much and gives back in unpredictable ways. The fact that these 5 surviving cast members have each carved out something real on the other side of all that, careers with longevity, relationships that held, lives that belong to them, feels like its own kind of victory. Matthew Perry's absence reshapes the story in ways that still ache. But his work is still there, still funny, still landing. Time can be cruel, and it can also be surprisingly generous. The legacy of Friends is proof of both. So here's what I want to know from you. Were you a Ross, a Rachel, a Monica, a Chandler, a Joey, or a Phoebe? And which of these updates surprised you most? If this kind of deep dive into the shows and the people who made them speaks to you, hit subscribe. There is a lot more where this came from. And hey, if you felt something watching this, someone else will too. Share it. The world could use a little more of that Central Perk feeling right now.